University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia. I'm Wendy Chalmers, anchor of NBN's TV Today. I want to welcome you to today's debate. The participants tonight are Robert Punch, broadcaster for Radio 5, and Margaret Judy, founder of the Sexism Today campaign. The topic of tonight's debate questions what is acceptable in the world of politics, and is it still sexist? We will be exploring how far sexism is ingrained in politics, what could be causing it, and is it a reflection of the climate of sexism in our current society? Beginning with you, Margaret Judy, what do you think is acceptable in the world of politics?
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you to UNSW for hosting us tonight. Now, rather than what is acceptable, I would like to acknowledge what is currently accepted in the world of politics. Men outweigh women 4-1 in politics, according to the UN. Only 22.8% of all national parliamentarians were women as of June 2016. A slow increase from 11.3%. Look at the women of Australian politics. It is not simply the underrepresentation, but also the treatment of women in politics. Women are being called out for their attire, their presentation, their non-presidential look. Comment on women's bodies, such as headlines like small breasts, huge thighs, used to mock Julia Gillard, are reducing women in politics to the sum of their body parts. Sexual harassment and humiliation are endemic of men-driven politics and are either ultimately excused, ignored, or used as a political tactic. The horrible, misogynistic...
Calm down, dear, calm down.
The misogynistic ways of Tony Abbott, not just as a politician, but the former leader of this country. How are we as a country supposed to progress in gender equality when Parliament allows the presentation of Julia Gillard as a witch for political campaigning?
Thank you, Margaret. And to you, Robert, what are your views on today's topic?
First of all, I'd like to say how honoured I am to be in this discussion with two beautiful women. I'm very excited to have this debate with both of you. Obviously, I'm not taking a very popular view, but I think in this feminist-obsessed climate, men need a bit of representation. I'm in no way about to deny that instances reported by media as sexist are in fact sexist. Of course they are. But not all men share these views. It's not every man saying these things. And to add to that point, every man saying a sexist comment in Parliament, in an incident reported by the media, is being held to account. Tony Abbott, for example, after commenting on the sex appeal of one of his Western Sydney candidates, took no reservation in claiming it was a dad moment and being able to laugh at it. No doubt there are more men in politics, but considering the amount of pink in our current government, we've made significant headway. I think it would be folly to expect that women will ever dominate or even approach equal representation in a large number of areas simply because their aptitudes, abilities and interests are different for physiological reasons. And there are questions we've got to ask ourselves. Are we willing to watch a woman before our eyes age on a daily basis? Has a woman who has deliberately remained barren any idea about life, and can we trust them with our country? With any more women, our government is shaping up to look like a rerun of the Golden Girls.
Thanks, Robert. Let me get you to pause right there. Margaret, should a woman's political ability be judged based on their feminine and maternal qualities or lack thereof?
I bet you make a great wife.
Being held to account for blatant sexism doesn't undo the fact that it was there. We have entered the 5th decade of second-wave feminism, and yet we're still significantly affected by systemic sexism. Women from a young age are bombarded by media telling them how to eat, dress, look, and act. Then, when they don't comply with these rules, they're blamed for their mistreatment by their peers, the public, and the media. Calling them at fault for attracting such comments is overt victim blaming.
I have a quick joke, I think it's appropriate. What's the difference between a politician and a lady? When a politician says yes, he means maybe. When he says maybe, he means no. And if he says no, he's not a politician. When a lady says no, she means maybe. If she says maybe, she means yes. And if she says yes, she's not a lady.
Thanks, Margaret and Robert. I'll get you to pause right there because we're going to move on to the next segment. Issues such as sexism are often explored and critiqued through art. For example, artist Coralie Schneemann created a performance artwork called Meet Joy. celebrating and reasserting aspects of women's body, traditionally ignored or repressed by male-privileged culture. Through this artwork, she was able to reclaim her body, separated from being a spectacle of lust or a window into character judgment or body shaming. It seems in politics we need such a performance to reassert the female gender for more than just its image. Margaret, how do you think we can reassert the female gender instead of being objectified and critiqued upon?
Ultimately, we have to change the way women are represented in the media. Break the systemic sexism at the root cause. If we can change the over-sexualization of women, address the active male gaze of the passive female body, and create true equality between the sexes, then the media will not excuse the sexism in politics. The public will not stand for the outright discrimination witnessed between the adults running our country, and the politicians will resort to cleaner, information-based tactics to win their campaign.
You know, it really doesn't matter what they write, as long as you've got a young and beautiful piece of ass.
Well, thank you for visiting and sharing your views with us today. I think it's important to acknowledge the ever-growing issue of sexism in politics, which is often overlooked and trivialised. It was interesting to hear your thoughts on this topic. Thanks again, Margaret Judy and Robert Punch, for joining us on TV today here at the University of New South Wales.
Think you've both been flirting with me? That's to be expected.